Hello, I'm Matteo, the Chief Mobile Opinionist here at Tech Travel Geeks. And today we're going to unbox the DJI OM5. If you're already someone who's been watching Tech Travel Geeks videos for a while, you may recall that this time last year we unboxed and provided some first impressions and have been using a DJI OM4 or OM4 since then. So let's get our chakra on and start unboxing this product. So lots of cellophane around it. It's got a little clip tie at the top for retail. But I'm going to cut open the top of the plastic just to see what's happening here. So this comes off. So we have the packaging that shows off the product itself. In this case, it's a generic phone that we don't know what it is. But you can see that this is not just a smartphone gimbal or a smartphone stabilizer. It also has an extension rod. It's a selfie stick as well. So selfie stick lovers rejoice. And on the back you've got a few key details about what the product is and what's inside the packaging. But we're going to find out in a moment anyway. So I'm going to use my jerry-rig everything knife to open the side of the box, and that's enough. So what we have here is the packaging with some clear indication of the fact that you should download the DJI Mimo app or Mimo app from the Google Play Store or from the Apple App Store, or if you have a Huawei device, from the Huawei App Gallery. And then it gives you some basic instructions on how to unfold the gimbal, the smartphone stabilizer, and how to apply your smartphone clamp to the smartphone so you can then magnetically attach it to the gimbal. Now in here, what do we have? This feels like it's more than just a bit of cardboard. There's some soft material here. Maybe it's just some insulation. So in terms of instructions, we've got the DJI OM5 booklet, quick start guide with some larger QR codes for downloading the DJI Mimo or Mimo app, and some quick graphical representation of how to use and charge the device. So I'm going to put these aside, and there's an extra bit of literature here. In this case, it's a guarantee. And then there's, this is very light compared to my OM4. And this is the DJI OM5 folded up. I'm going to put this aside and we'll see what else is in the box. So let's start off with the back. There is a cable. In this case, it's open this up. This is a USB-A to USB Type-C cable. So you charge it with what is likely to be, unless you're an Apple user, your smartphone charging cable, which means that when traveling you might not actually need to take this cable with you. Your smartphone charger will do. What else is in here? So we've got an extra spacer. So for some phones that maybe aren't thick enough to work well with the clamp, there's an extra spacer here which might be useful. There's a strap which you can put through here to use if that's something you want to do. There is in this case, this is a tripod that screws onto the bottom of the gimbal like this. This is particularly useful for some modes that the DJI Mimo or Mimo app and other applications would find useful, such as low-light photography, but more importantly, the new panorama and time-lapse modes can make use of this. And then last but not least is the magnetic clamp. And this is very similar, if not identical, to the one we saw on the DJI OM4. So good to see that that hasn't changed. This clamps onto your phone and then it aligns with the DJI magnetic bit. There's a little extra etch here which clips in, and that's how you do it. But we'll set up the gimbal in a moment and do that properly. And there is actually something else here, something that I've been quite looking forward to. is a little carry bag. It has DJI branding on it. You can see that's DJI. It's okay, it's quite smooth on the inside and it's almost Alcantara-like on the outside, similar to my Microsoft Surface Go keyboard. And that's it, that's the contents of the box. So we've got our carry bag, strap, tripod and gimbal itself. And we'll just have a quick look at how the extension works. You just pull and it comes out, it becomes a selfie stick. And that means that the motorized gimbal mechanism is still usable when it's extended. So it's a selfie stick and gimbal at the same time. Quite excited by this. So now what I'm going to do is set this up with the DJI Mimo or Mimo app. I'm going to take this to the sort of slightly heavier end of the device. Now, the DJI OM5 only takes devices up to around about 300 grams. In this case, I'm going to use the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro 5G, which is just over 200 grams. So it will be pushing the device to the limit. And if this is similar to what we saw with the DJI OM4, you need to align the clamp in such a manner that, to take this off, you need to align the clamp in such a manner that the camera icon is pointing towards the camera module on your phone, that you're relatively central to the device itself, and that's how the clamp goes on. Now you can adjust it just slightly so it's as center as possible. There we go. And that's it. So what I'm going to do now is, now this doesn't work well with the side button on the Xiaomi device, but I'm sure it will work out in the end. Once that's done, we'll open up DJI Mimo or Mimo. This is the app that DJI uses for all their non-drone stuff. So not the DJI Fly app, but everything else. And you need to give it the appropriate permissions in the operating system, which I've just done. And there we go. Next thing, I'll unfold the arm on the gimbal. So I've done that. And now I need to find the power button, which is here. I'm going to long press that. There we go, we've got a little rattle. That means that the engines are on. So what I'm going to do is connect to my device. I need to enable Bluetooth in this case. So that's now there. Whoops, I'm going to go back to the app. So I have Bluetooth on, the device is on. Let's see if restarting the process finds the device in an easier manner. It says searching. But first impressions, physically this is a light device. It's much lighter than I was expecting, and interestingly, device not found. So I'm going to switch the OM5 off and back on. Let's try again. Searching. DJI device not found. Let's see what the help is. DJI OM. Maybe we need to do it directly from the Bluetooth stack on the phone. And I can see the OM5 here, so let's connect that. My device is actually connected to the DJI OM5, but still not finding it, which is very odd. Very interesting, so I'm not able to connect from here. Let's try going and checking the settings permissions for that app. So I'm not able to find my DJI OM5 using the DJI Mimo or Mimo app on the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro 5G. Luckily I'm prepared. I have my Huawei P40 here, which has a recent version of DJI Mimo or Mimo, and I'm going to try and searching for it here. I need to turn on Bluetooth, and device has not been found. Okay, this has been 20 minutes now. I really want to use my DJI OM5. Still nothing to find, which is odd. Okay then, so thanks for bearing with me. Ultimately, I ended up turning on my iPhone and it found it with no issues. So third device, we were lucky. And the first thing that comes up is that we have a firmware update available for the DJI OM5. And so I'm going to install this firmware. So it's a relatively small update, which is 0.6 megabytes. And so we'll see how long it takes to complete. And whilst that's happening, we also have a slightly different lighting condition. The light on the power indicator is now flashing green and red. Previously it was only flashing green. It's installing, it's taking its time. This is version 01000110. I wonder if there's a binary joke in there. And we have everything updated, that's great. So I'm going to put the clamp on my iPhone 12. So we have a bit of a tutorial coming here saying first try to move the gimbal backwards and forwards or left and right. To do that I will need to actually attach my phone to the gimbal. Okay then, so I'm back. It's actually the next day compared to when we originally recorded the first part of this video. And that's because it took me almost 15 minutes to realize I couldn't pair the DJI OM5 with the Android smartphones I had. I did manage to pair it with my iPhone 12 and it works great there. I even did a firmware upgrade for the gimbal with the iPhone. Sadly, none of my Android devices worked. And that's, as I discovered later, because the Google Play Store version of the DJI Mimo or Mimo app does not support the DJI OM5. After tweeting about it, our friend Paul O'Brien very kindly linked me to where to download the APK, so the Android installation file, directly from DJI, rather than going through the Google Play Store. After I installed that on my Samsung Galaxy S20 FE, it worked great. Word of warning, you don't just need to install the file, you need to uninstall the previous installation you had. And as you can see, the moment I switch on the gimbal, it connects to my phone. So great work here from Paul O'Brien. Thank you for the tech support in this instance. The DJI OM5 works great. I've done a few quick sample videos, but we'll include that in a future video that we'll be doing here on the Tech Travel Geeks YouTube channel. So in terms of setup, there you go. We've managed to update the DJI OM5. We've managed to get the appropriate APK or installation file, which we'll link to in the description. It's direct from DJI, so it is a credible source for the application. And we will be back with more content filmed on the DJI OM5. I'm particularly looking forward to this extendable gimbal facility. I think it will give me a lot of freedom to do things like maybe a Fiat 500 hybrids review. We'll be doing some cool shots in the coming days and weeks using the DJI OM5, and maybe a comparison with the DJI OM4, which I have and still use. So there you go. I have set up the application on both the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro 5G and the Samsung S20 FE, so we'll be using this to film some content. Our Chief Aperture Officer, Lukash, who has very skillfully edited this video, is also getting a DJI OM5 So he'll be using one for all the awesome footage he's been working on. So for now, thank you for watching. If you don't already, please do subscribe to the Tech Travel Geeks here on YouTube. And as I said, thanks for watching.